Good evening, everyone. I'd like to welcome you to the Danville Board of Education regular meeting on Monday, March 19th, 2018. At this time, first order on our agenda is to approve the meeting agenda.
I'll make a motion that we approve the meeting agenda as submitted.
Second. Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Move on to our presentations. Are there any board member comments this evening?
Since Stephen is in here and I'll fill the role of Steve. I went to the bait production of The Lion King Jr. this weekend, and I just wanted to say how impressed I was. I was in the theater here at the Danville schools, but I wasn't able to really get involved in something that on that level until I was in high school. So it was really impressive to see the the middle school students do it and how much enthusiasm. And the thing that caught me most was how confident they looked when they did it. So I just was really proud, and for all the world I thought they were high schoolers, but I was very impressed with how well done it was, and kudos to all those students to have that courage. And I heard that they had done it earlier in the day in front of their peers, and as we all know, middle school is a tough time to do something like that, so I'm really proud of them, and it's great to see the arts in that manner at our schools.
Yes, and I apologize, I should have said Steve Becker. Since his apologies, he is under the weather tonight, so he is not going to be here this evening. So, Troy, okay. All right, we'll move on to the superintendent comments.
Good evening, everyone. As we have recognitions tonight for elementary, I'm going to highlight some of the things that we've been able to celebrate at the middle and the high school. And that begins with James Murphy, one of our bus drivers, was awarded the Ruth Blair Service Award at the Kentucky Catholic Forensics League. Pretty cool when you meet a bus driver to be noted from a statewide organization for his academic tournaments for students. And so we appreciate greatly Mr. Murphy, who retired last year and has come back again to service the district and has been able to be noted by the Forensics League. The forensics team itself earned third place in the Kentucky Catholic Forensics League competition and secured a spot in the national competition. Turning to athletics, and we're going to jump back and forth a good bit. Jaleel Warren became state champion in the shot put, and Don Harris finished second in that competition. Demarie Van Cleve earned first place in the Class 1A 55-meter dash. For those of you that grew up in the 80s, I've been pushing hard for us to get t-shirts made that say Run DVC, or DMC. I think it would only be DVC, I think it would be appropriate. For those of you that get the joke, please turn to the person to your left and explain it to them. Jackson Wood was the state pole vault champion, and Gabe McKnight earned first place in the Class 1A board's 55-meter hurdles. At the middle school, 6th and 8th grade robotics teams competed in the VEX Robotics Kentucky State Competition. Nice to have two teams entered into that competition. Back to academics at the high school. The academic team for the high school advanced to the Sweet 16 in the Kentucky Governor's Cup. And we had the same thing for the middle school. So both middle and high school advanced to the Sweet 16, the Kentucky Governor's Cup. Their seedings have played out much better than your NCAA brackets. You should bet on Danville schools every chance that you get. Steve Meadows was named the district's Communicator of the Year for his more than 20 years of service in the speech community. And his forensics team, of course, finished second in speech and second in Congress team awards at the Kentucky District Tournament of the National Speech and Debate. Carolyn Bugg is headed to the Nationals in U.S. Extemporaneous and winner of the House. Katie Critchfield is first alternate in U.S. Extemporaneous speaking and International Extemporaneous. Joseph Warner was first alternate in dramatic, and Charlie Hall was first alternate in oratory and humorous speech. You've heard about the Lion King, which we're excited to see, and the baseball team defeated Meese Middle School as well. So we've had both academic and athletics from all of our levels. In fact, the middle school's academic win was over Mazik Middle School, former state champion. I know that school well. Apparently they had a guy with long hair that used to be in charge of it. So it's nice to see that I can carry those championships with me wherever I go. So that'll be my report for this evening, and thanks for your time.
All right, thank you, Dr. Lowe. Next item is the Arts and Humanities presentation. Ms. Dewey. Oh, excuse me. Sorry, I'm jumping ahead. We got to get to our students first. So, students, sorry, Ms.
I can wait patiently.
I'm sorry.
Especially for our students.
So we have Tolliver and okay, all elementaries. Okay.
Ron, you want to lead off?
Sure.
You'll have to forgive me, I'm a little behind on this recognition. This is for our 16-17 K-Prep recognition for students who scored distinguished in all content areas. I joked with Mrs. Finke before that if we were going to recognize students who scored distinguished, we would have needed a much larger format. So we're just going to go with the ones that scored distinguished in all content areas. In 4th grade, couldn't make it here this evening. A couple of these are actually at the state Sweet 16 tournament with their siblings. So I had Sadie Pusateri, I have Kenley Durham, McKenna Bradshaw,
That's what I figured out.
May Pierce is the other student from Louisville, George McClure, and Kate Farmer. And our 5th graders were McLean Denny, Sam Finke, and Paul McClure.
To shake your hand, right?
Yes, they know how to do that. He'll break your hand. He will break your hand.
I know, he'll hurt it.
Don't do it again.
1, 2, 3. Sorry. Do you want these?
Oh, yeah. Thank you, sir.
All right. And from Hogshead Elementary, I'll be recognizing 2 students today. The first student is Miss Lily Higdon. So Lily, come on up. And then while she's coming up, I'll tell you what she's receiving her certificate for. She's getting a certificate for being chosen as a featured artist in the VSA Traveling Art Show. And it's quite a neat experience because artwork from students all over the state of Kentucky were chosen to be part of this traveling art show. If a student is selected from your school, the art show gets to stop at your school for a week. So we will actually have the whole art show at Hogshead Elementary, I think the 2nd week of April or so, but we'll have it for a week. And the students then at Hogshead are going to, some of the classes go up to the art exhibits and get to see the work, and they answer questions, and we really try to make it a learning experience. But we're so proud of Lily for her piece that she submitted, or that we submitted on her behalf, and it was chosen. So congratulations to Lily. Let's go.
Just using the picture.
Take 2. 1, 2, 3.
All right, and then the last certificate that I have tonight is for Miss Sophia Anderson. And Sophia's right here. Sophia is receiving a certificate tonight for being chosen as a top 10 poet from the Creative Communications Contest. She submitted, on behalf of her 3rd grade teacher, Miss Roach, submitted a poem called The Lonely Poem, is that correct?
Yeah.
And it's kind of a neat story. This contest is a national contest, and she was chosen as a top 10 winner in her grade level, and it came with a $25 gift check, so that was neat too. But what's super impressive is that Sophia's poem was the only, or Sophia is the only student from Kentucky being published in this publication. So we're so congratulations.
Great work.
Yeah, that's good. All right, we'd have some staff are going to recognize themselves as well. Mr. Go.
Tonight we're going to take a minute to recognize some staff members who recently completed their Google Level 1 and some of them Level 2 certification. If you're not sure what that is, it's a certification program that Google puts on. It's a 3-hour test. Part of it's multiple choice, but the majority of it are hands-on items that they have to do, and they're timed. It's a 3-hour test. It's a very intense test. It's nerve-wracking. It's very difficult, and most of these people spent hours and hours practicing and working on it. So First, I'm going to call up the people that completed their level 1 exam.
Don't forget the school when you say it.
Okay. From Tolliver, Carla Arnold. Not sure if Carla's here. All right, Twyla Arnold. Sarah Bowman. Oh, okay, I'm sorry. Let me start all over. Carla Arnold and Twyla Arnold from Tolliver. Sarah Bowman from Jenny Rogers. Cassie Dickinson from the high school. Let's see, Cassie. John Irwin from Tolliver. There are some people here. Kelly Hammond from Hogsett. All right. Donna Keckendall from Bate in the high school. That one. Was it a pretty intense test?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see. Megan Stallard from Tolliver. There's Megan. Kristen Welsh from Tolliver. And Sarah Wilson from Tolliver. And those are our group of teachers who passed the level 1 certification, and they're probably going to be working on level 2 very soon. So Yep. And we've got 3 teachers who took the level 1 certification a long time ago, and we never did recognize them. And then they've somewhat recently taken the level 2 certification. They are J.D. Smith from Bate. He had a prior commitment tonight. Scott Walker, who's here. And Scott, I believe, you earned it before J.D., so I think Scott was the first teacher in Danville history to get level 2. And then we also had Shelby Cameron from Bate. I don't think she's here tonight. She also... Oh yeah, she's at the state academic team.
You get a solo picture.
That's right.
I feel short now. Good. That's
And if anyone's interested in the certification, talk to one of these people and they can tell you about it.
Okay. Now, Ms. Dewey, we'd love to hear your Arts and Humanities presentation.
If you could just send these down. Don't know whether to face you all or to sit at the desk with a microphone, but if everyone can hear me, I'll do a little bit of both, okay? This is a short report tonight, and it's uncharacteristic for me because I'm normally about stories, but this is the Danville School's Visual and Performing Arts by the numbers. And I'm not going to go through all of them with you, but I will point out a couple of them. And for any of you who prefer, like me, stories, updates, and photos, you can follow our Gravely Hall Performing Arts Center Facebook page because there's all things arts there and lots of good photos. Our Gravely Hall numbers are actually up from last year. From August to March of 2018, we've had over 12,000 folks either in the audience or using the stage or running the tech in our Gravely Hall Performing Arts Center. And we're really pleased about that because it means our students are really getting a chance to get in there. They're doing things like The Lion King, but they're also seeing performances in there. And that goes to the next little box in this, which of course you guys can't see because I didn't print enough, but we have received grants and awards this year, 9 of them, and one of them was to bring in a performance by the Squalus Puppeteers, and we geared it to K1-2, and it's the first time we've actually been able to include preschool students in our audience, and the preschool teachers and the preschool director were very appreciative, and we're thankful to have a piece of theater that was geared to their age group and not just something that they could see, but was actually focused at an older grade level. So we were really pleased to be able to bring Squalus in. We're continuing lots of partnerships with the community as well as statewide, and because of that, we are able to have the numbers that are over here on the left-hand side in the blue. We've had over 900 students attending performances outside of the district, with the vast majority of that paid through grants and awards and donations. So we're really pleased about that. And students attending performances inside the district, over 1,300. So that's another great number for us. We estimate that the amount saved on performances and field trips this year so far is about $8,000. So that's a nice figure for us. Those same partnerships and community and statewide organizations help us with our co-curricular arts opportunities, our artist residencies and mentors. We've had 7 of those so far this year. We've had 25 hours of teacher professional development provided through those partnerships, and a number that most of these numbers are extremely celebratory, and I actually think this last box is too, but others might not. I wanted to include areas where we still have need for growth, because we all have places to grow, improvements to make. So in this last box here, it's about progress and accountability. And in 3 areas, our accountability system has in the past measured our areas of growth as well as our celebrations. And we have made progress this year in the area of the Gravely Hall Performing Arts Center needs assessment. There are obviously ongoing needs in that area, and we have made progress in that area, including the purchase of a fabulous new projector, so next time you come in there, you won't be squinting at the print. You'll be seeing that bright and shiny, and we have actually gotten a needs assessment in place, and we're in the process of prioritizing those needs. Danville High School has instituted visual and performing arts pathways. So if students meet a certain required number of courses in one of the visual and performing arts disciplines, and they successfully complete those 3 courses and a capstone of the teacher's choosing, they are awarded a pathway recognition, and that's something that they are recognized for at graduation, as well as something that looks great on a college application and a resume. So, and we're also looking at our visual and performing arts faculty needs, and I want to thank the board for the work that you've done in that area. Adding a position for dance and theater at the elementary level, 2nd through 5th grade, is a real important step. So I'm not going to go over any of the rest of it, but if you have any questions, you can ask me now, or I'm always available.
Thank you, this is great. Appreciate it. All right, moving on to the next item on the agenda are the personnel notifications. That information is attached just for information, no need for approval or anything there. Moving on to item number 4 are the minutes of the previous meeting.
Make a motion to approve of the minutes from the February 12th, 2018, February 19th, 2018, and February 26th, 2018 meeting minutes as submitted.
Second.
Further questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
That passes. All right, moving on to reports. Our first report is the finance report. Mr. Dean.
Good evening. Should have a copy of the February 2018 financial report, starting the month of February with a balance of $9,619,000 and some change. During the course of the month, we took in $1.557 million. During the month, we paid out in claims or accounts payable $733,000 and some change. Total payroll expenditures for the month of February were $1.98 million, totaling $2,031,133.83 for the month, leaving us with a balance at the end of February of $9,145,979.93. You can see down in the middle section there how that is broken down by the various funds that we maintain. If you'll notice, the general fund total actually increased by about $156,000 during the month. We reduced in the amount of assigned funds based on what we had transferred for projects that we have going on now. So that balance is down about $304,000. And then also, one thing to notice is the special revenue fund was down. And last year we had received several deposits for federal and state grants, which bumped that up to an abnormal amount during the month, which gets expended, of course, during the next month or two. So those were the primary differences in between. If you'll look in the column to the right, which were the numbers for February of last year as compared to the amount for February of this year. At the bottom of the page is our running total of the Tolliver Construction Certificate of Deposit that we maintain. During the month of February, we paid out $245,000 in construction payments. Also, we have on there what we have paid out for the payout for March of 2018, which is $219,709, just to kind of keep you up to date, which leaves us with a balance right now, a current certificate balance of $1,373,000 to cover the remaining expenditures for the project, which should be finished up sometime in May. On the right-hand side, you'll see the amount of interest. We keep it updated. February, we earned $1,030 on that certificate, which brings the total for the life to a little over $111,000 that we've earned in interest. On page 2 is the general fund breakdown, kind of a summary for the receipts that we took in during the month. The first column shows the actual amounts that we took in, totaling $810,728 for the general fund. You can see the various ways that they're classified down there, from property taxes to our SEEK funds to other various items. One thing I wanted to point out is, if you'll notice, our general property tax in the next column, the second column, we've taken in so far $6.298 million in the general fund. That does not include what we had taken in and transferred to the building fund to cover debt service payments that we have there. So that, this year is an additional $935,000. So you can see how the total compares to last year's. We've actually taken in the general fund $40,000 more than last year, but we've also transferred to the building fund another almost $33,000 more than we had to last year based on what KDE's requirements are. So good collection on those. And then in the next to last column, you'll see the last year to date numbers and how they compare to the numbers that we have so far for this year through February. Most of them are positive. We do have a few negatives, which are hard to predict, like the omitted property taxes, and we do, and some of the things like motor vehicle and utilities tax. Those tend to have larger amounts towards the end of the year for some reason. The collections seem to grow in May and June as opposed to the rest of the year, so we catch up or exceed where we are now with those. Finally, the last page on the financial report is a summary for the general fund for expenditures, and you can see broken down for this month, year to date, and then also a comparison for last year for all of the various expenditures by function, from instruction all the way down. You'll notice for the month, one thing I did want to point out is the fund transfers down there, the $300,000. The majority of that is for the debt service payments that we had to make in the month of February that were attributed to the general fund rather than the building fund. There were the bonds that we had set up for the savings on the energy usage. So that's why that's normally large for the month of February. Down at the bottom, you'll see that we had total cash fund balance, as we said earlier, of $7,346,000. Of that, $200,000 is set aside for sick leave escrow, and then we had our maintenance reserves were $442,000, leaving us with a general fund cash balance of $6,703,000 and some change. Any questions?
I make a motion for the approval of the financial report as submitted.
Second.
All right, any final questions? Yes. Okay. All those in favor? Aye. Okay. All right, move on to the payment invoices.
Total payment for the month of February, as we stated in the treasurer's report, is $733,054.06. Of that $733,000 figure, we had $245,000 paid out for the Tolliver construction and renovation project and pay apps. We also had a large month for debt service payments. U.S. Bank and Trust, we had $251,950. And then our KISTA payments due in February for principal and interest were $49,169.67, like we talked about in those transfers. Majority of that came from the general fund, as that's where the debt was supposed to be paid from. So that left us with a balance of $186,926.94 for monthly expenditures for instructional supplies, repairs and maintenance, fuel, food service, those general items that we incur on a monthly basis. Some other notable expenditures for the month, as Ms. Dewey said, we paid out $21,719 for a new projector system and have it installed in Gravely Hall. We also renewed our school messenger and all-call system at a cost of $3,920. Any questions on any of this?
Motion for the approval of the payments of invoices totaling $733,054.06 is presented.
Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
All right, motion passes. Thank you, Paul. All right, the next item on the agenda is facilities. We've got a change order for Tolliver.
Good to see you again this week. This was a change order that was in the works of last week, but it just didn't have all the information together in order to put it on the agenda for last week. But this one is dealing with a lot of IT infrastructure and also some security infrastructure that we're adding to the project. So part of this is adding some additional data outlets and power to the computer lab up on the second floor. Just as we got near it, we realized we needed to add some more additional power and data to that room, plus a few other little rooms, the smaller rooms like the special ed breakout rooms and some offices on the second floor. So this is kind of a leftover from second floor. The other part of this is adding a lot of additional security and power and electrical to the doors. And this is what Brian Gover had sent to us and organized with him on this to include some card readers. Is it?
Yeah, basically at Dayton High School right now we have card readers where staff can scan indoors, and so we planned Tolliver way in advance, and that we didn't do that technology back then. So this is to add those to Tolliver, and that way teachers can scan in, and eventually, like right now, if you lose a key, your only choice is to rekey all the locks. So this will allow us just to deactivate the badge, and then it makes it a lot easier. And it kind of goes on what we've done with Dayton High School, and we'll eventually do for Hogsett.
Okay. And you said this is for exterior doors?
Yeah, exterior doors, mainly on the addition. I think there's one door in the front that was added to this.
Yeah, the main doors that the teachers will come in and out of.
Okay.
We've got one on the playground, when they take their kids out and so on. So.
Total doors.
Yeah, I think there's 5 doors total that were affected by that. So that change order is $24,877.54.
Still holding on to some of that contingency.
Well, on that, if you look at the next page, there is, with this change, there's just under $250,000 left in the contingency itself. So, don't know if I didn't hear any updates on if the column got put into place this week. I think it's still too little wet, but I think hopefully it dries out next week. They're going to look at putting that one in. I know there's one capital, if you went in the back, there's under the charge to the city. So.
Yeah.
All right.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Make a motion for the approval of change order number 41 for the Tolliver Elementary project as submitted.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? All right. And now stadium update.
some progress with some improvements at the stadium, with a little bit of renovation going on. Paul and I kind of worked together and got a little bit of a plan. We're trying to do as much as we can with our own maintenance staff and with contracting some things out that don't have to go through KDE and the architect engineer type thing. So one of the things that we've done is updated the electrical system. It was much older than Paul D probably.
You said it's been done?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We still probably will need to add a little bit of, out of the box.
Circuit breaker.
Thank you. Couldn't come up with it. We'll have to add some circuit breakers when we actually start doing some more of the renovation. We have taken out the old hot water heaters. There were two there. One wasn't working at all and the other one worked only when it wanted to. So we've taken those out, purchased a replacement. Just one is all we need because the kids don't take showers anymore, only the referees and umpires. And if we don't win, we'll just turn the hot water off. We take a shower in the cold. So in the process of doing that, I've got a company coming in to pressure wash the entire stadium. Excellent prices on it. It's going to pressure wash the home side, visitor side bleachers, under the bleachers, all of the, you know, where the birds have done their arts and humanities. The inside, the locker rooms, the restrooms, everything's going to get pressure washed. And from that point, some of our staff will then do some cleaning and painting and updating. We're going to order new doors, metal doors. They're really original also.
Well, where will those be placed? Are they for underneath the stadium or for? Okay.
Like for locker room,
Okay.
electrical room.
Okay.
They don't really even shut and lock. It's
Right. Okay.
old. Some of our guys will also be updating the built-in rooms that we have now, where like the paint room is and the concession storage area. Those are made. Rework those. We're going to replace ceiling tiles after the pressure washing is finished. Our guys will also update HVAC. It's Corey's got HVAC. Then they'll put LED lighting in, not on the field yet. Still investigating that, but everything within and around the stadium will be LED lighting. Then we'll contract out sealing a blacktop that is around, repainting our anchors that go down to the field, and looking to get new goalposts. That just leaves the construction part, which we want to build. We're going to have to build the concrete walls around because the structure of those back walls is not good right now. So we're going to have to do something.
So is this more for like the restroom area and for
Concession stand and the other side building in storage. So enlarging the concession stand and building storage on each side. So that will help replace those walls that are they're disintegrating.
You're talking like those back walls where the entrances to the restrooms are now, is that right?
Back where the
I
locker
guess you're
rooms
going
are.
into the locker room,
Yeah.
those walls right, yeah.
Yeah, that's those walls. The front walls are okay.
What about all the decorative type of stuff? Is that next on your
Yeah,
list? or-
I
Okay.
didn't mention the metal part. Yeah, we're gonna put metal under the bleachers to, you know, hide the pigeon art. And be able to also direct rainwater away from the concession stand, the office, the locker rooms, the storage areas. So there'll be some guttering put in to direct the water away. And on the front, we will rework the lettering and all the state championships and the Danville Admiral thing.
And is that something we will do or that's contracted out?
That will be contracted out.
Okay.
Does that include press box gonna get updated up there or
Inside?
inside?
No, I don't know. We haven't even looked at it yet.
But we're still doing it.
What are your talents?
On the budget that we had set aside, we're okay.
It's been, it's not easy keeping it in that budget. So, we're doing everything we can before we actually tackle the part where we'll need to bring in, you know, and go through KDE.
So what's the timeline
Most of this should be finished before the football season starts. I'm not sure about the construction part. It takes quite a bit of time to get through the paperwork of the BGs and things with KDE that you might not get that part finished before the season starts. But the rest of it, that's the goal.
Great, good update. Thank you. Thanks. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a non-binding resolution. As a board, obviously, there's a lot in the news at this point about the safety of our schools. I think, Mr. Murray, you're here as representative of the high school, but I know the high school worked hand in hand really well with our students this past week with the walkout, and we appreciate them allowing them to handle things the way they did. I think we got a lot of nice feedback and positive feedback from parents and the students as how that all went about. But I think as a board, we just, again, felt like we wanted to make a statement and a commitment to our students, our staff, and our community as to, you know, obviously we feel very, this is something that's very important to us. So I'm just going to read, this was kind of put together by the board, and it's just, again, just kind of a general statement from us in general. As a caring and compassionate learning community dedicated to educational, emotional, and social development, the Board of Education affirms its commitment to the health, safety, and well-being of all students in the Danville Independent School District. The mentoring provided by talented teachers, coaches, and other school staff, as well as the important work of counselors, nurses, school resource officers, and the Family Resource and Youth Services Center, offers Danville students a range of allies and advocates to support positive outcomes. With a strong sense of obligation to each and every Danville student, the board pledges not to just maintain, but also expand this support when and where possible, both within and beyond typical school structures. So again, this is just, obviously will be ongoing. There will always be areas where we feel like we need to, again, work together as a board, as a school system, when things arise, and I'm sure this will be a continuing, ongoing discussion. If any other board members have any other comments or things they would like to add at this point?
A motion and a vote would be appropriate on the resolution.
Yes, got that.
I'll make a motion for the approval of the non-binding safety resolution as submitted.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right. And at this point, we'll move on to the school calendar, Mr. McKinney.
It's a little bit bigger than a computer screen if you need it. So right on cue, I think there's a winter weather advisory tomorrow. We'll probably be back here again to discuss other options, but that would not be plural. We're getting down to singular option. So we've missed six days so far. It's 5 due to weather and 1 due to illness. We will have made up 4 of those at the end of this Friday, and now's a good time to remind everybody that we will be in school on Thursday and Friday. So that will be 4 makeup days. We have a 5th day to get in because the 6th day we're going to use bank time. We have extra minutes in the school day that we bank throughout the year, and so we have some additional time there that we can only use 1 bank day because we're not allowed to go below 170. I know I've said this 500 times, it seems like. We can only go below 100, we can only go to 170 instructional days. So 1 bank day is all we can ask the state for. So we will use that day, and then we have to make up 1 additional day, and that's one of the issues before you tonight. I've spoken to all the principals. Ms. Ralston is probably the one who's taken one for the team here. The principals are in agreement that they need to keep April 27th for that professional development day. There's activities already planned. There's a trip planned. It's an extracurricular trip. That's a long haul, 7 straight weeks at that time of year. So that long weekend sometimes is a nice break for students and staff. So the principals requested that PD day stay for a lot of different reasons. And so Ms. Ralston, being a team player she is, she accepted that. And so the reason Ms. Ralston has an interest in that is because graduation is scheduled for the 25th, and we're going to use the 25th, that Friday, as a student makeup day. So those are the only 2 options that we had to offer, either the 27th or to move the closing day for students back to the 25th. Or the last option would be the very unpopular using a day of break. And so that's really never one of the things you want to do, and use a day of spring break. We have used that as we have put a PD day in there, but that's just a staff day. So the recommendation is to use the 25th. It is now on the calendar as closing day for staff, to use that as the last day for students, which will give us 170 instructional days. That requires us to add a planning day because we have to offer a 187-day contract for teachers. And so there's 170 instructional days. There's usually 171. We now have 7 planning days instead of 6. So that's 177. And then 4 PD days, 181. 4 holidays, 185, and opening and closing is how you get to 187. So those days are tacked on at the end. So we've used February 16th and February 19th as makeup days. March 22nd, March 23rd will be makeup days. May 25th will be a makeup day, and then we'll use a bank day. And then we have to add 1 planning day at the end to get to 187. Any questions about any of that? And if we do have another snow day, we'll have to be really limited.
Will the state, I know.
I'd say we're getting close, but I would.
Historically, wouldn't they give us a day?
Right now, there's no legislation on the table, and that requires the General Assembly to take action. So right now, I've not heard any talk of that or any, in the newsletters. And I talked to our liaison with Katie that does attendance. She doesn't foresee that,
So right now, the motion is just for what we need right now is just to change the.
To change the 25th change the 25th to a student instructional day.
Okay.
And then to add a professional day on May the 30th.
On May the 30th?
Yes, that's the, there's one makeup. We had to make one of the professional days up. We'll be taking March 22nd, that's a planning day, and we have to add it to the end of the
But
calendar.
I think it's on May 31st, right? Not May 30th.
31st is
No, we're
that's
gonna,
PD.
there's a difference in planning.
Gotcha, okay. I
There's a
see that
difference in,
squeezed in the middle. And
yes,
okay.
you want, the planning days are days that have not been worked. Some of the PD, we will have staff that have worked that already, and so they've got their 187 days because they've attended other trainings. So we put that PD on the 31st so that those that have finished can close out, can use that day as a closing day. Because they've already worked that.
Okay, I make a motion to approve, for the approval to revise the calendar to reflect May 25th, 2018 as an instructional day for students, and May 30th as a planning day for teachers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Second.
All right. Any final questions? Okay. All those in favor? Aye. All right. Thank you. All right. The next item on the agenda is the certified evaluation plan.
This should be quick. We had, our 50/50 committee had worked end of last summer, first of last school year, or this past school year, the current school year, on developing a new CEP for the district that we felt was very, very good. It's the best one I've worked with in many, many years. Come to find out that the KDE had given us a year where they did not have to approve the CEPs for the district. And we didn't know for sure if that was going to continue, if they were kind of done with approving evaluation plans or not, but they changed their mind, and so they are now having to approve all CEPs. With mine not realizing that how forward-thinking our 50/50 was, we were required to go to what they call a training it was held in Lexington, and where districts were urged to come to have their CEPs evaluated by KDE people. And I'd sit with some people from Fayette County and other places, and we were much further ahead than they were. They didn't even do a new plan from 2, 3, and 4 years ago when PPGES and TPGES were still under statute and regulation. So with that said, I recalled another 50/50 team, and the one thing they said we really need to change were just the semantics. And you have in front of you, it's simply either in red or strike through are our recommendations. And it centers around mainly that standards have been changed to 4 measures, and other than that, there's nothing changed in this. We did the last minute include a school psychologist evaluation that is not governed by KDE, and so that would really be a moot point to them, but it would affect our local. And so that, again, they will not look at that, but we would be required to approve that if you so choose. So again, the proposed changes are in there in red and or strike through. And other than that, if the board does approve tonight, I will send this week to KDE for their approval. And if you remember 3 or 4 years ago, they would literally go through it by colon and comma and period and language and verbiage, and it got pretty asinine. But there for a few years, that they told us they're moving away from that. Sometimes people there have to create jobs for themselves to make them, make themselves feel worthwhile. But I think they're trying to change that culture there. I hope so. But according to, again, the ones that were there from the department, they were pretty pleased with what our team had developed. I am asking you to approve tonight, pending, and it will be sent on to KDE. If they do propose changes, I will have to come back to you, approve it again, and have to send it back to them. And I don't foresee any of those, but there are still some, as you can see on the last pages, there are some things we have to change in terms of formatting and getting on the correct pages, but that'll be easy to do. Right now, I'm just asking to approve in substance only. The formatting part will take place just from the electronic part. Pretty simple, straightforward. But if you have any, I will definitely take questions. I mean, if you have anything about it, we're not trying to hide anything, and our team is great to work with, and they were pleased, as well as our administrators, with how the evaluation plan was done this year, and a lot of growth, a lot of things that were owned by both our classroom teachers and our building principals.
You know, when I was looking through, it looked like a lot of just word verbiage.
It was
I mean,
simply,
it just looks like. I'm glad you didn't have to start over.
I am as well.
Any questions?
I make the motion for the approval of the revised 2018 certified evaluation plan.
Second. All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right, we are now at the consent agenda. Take a motion.
I make a motion that we approve of all consent agenda items as presented without discussion.
Okay, second. All right, all those in favor? Aye. All right, motion passes. Ms. Osborne. Okay, at this time we have three people that would like to address the board this evening. Again, just a reminder of my timer here on my laptop this evening. So again, just please keep it to 3 minutes. At that point, we will let you know when your time has expired. First person that has requested to address the board is Gail Wright.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I speak this evening on behalf of a large group of concerned staff of the Danville Independent Schools and community regarding the letter of concern submitted to you at the February 26th meeting, specifically regarding the creation of a vacancy in the superintendency position. You stated that you had heard from many and conducted an evaluation of the superintendent as reasons for your decision. The superintendent position, as understood, is a public one that is not subject to privacy laws afforded other employees of the district, and the community has the right to know the basis of that action. We've received some replies. Board Attorney Vince Pennington submitted a letter of response denying wrongdoing to the portions of the letter regarding KRS violations. There were other points addressed in the letter summarized on page 6 that we have not yet received a reply to. Mr. Pennington stated he would address those concerns with the board at a later time, and many of these points contribute to a cultural distrust among stakeholders, as well as a perception of the board disregarding the expertise of the professional educators of the district. Danville is a community of tremendous diversity. This diversity, both ethnic, socioeconomic, and cultural, carries over to the schools at all levels. All students, no matter their needs, deserve the best available to them at all levels, every day. Those who teach these students deserve the support of an engaged and knowledgeable board that acts on behalf of every student every day. Our purpose for sharing our concerns with you and taking these various steps are to, 1, challenge the Board of Education to change from a culture of micromanagement, criticism, and negativity towards professional staff. We request attitudes that recognize the work of administration and staff, active listening, and consideration of positions that may be different from their own, and a response from the board that focuses on inclusivity and support of all stakeholders in the Danville community. Encourage and insist that the Danville Board of Education focus its decisions on what is best for all students and do so with transparency and respect for the expertise and professionalism of the staff and all stakeholders. That to further understand the challenges of the schools, board members visit the schools, not just those their children attend, but all schools, to engage with staff and students. We recognize with jobs and family obligations this is a challenge, but worthwhile, and it's been previously done by other boards. That the board works within the responsibilities of their job description and adhere rigorously to the Code of Ethics given in Policy 01.53 and in the School Board Member Code of Ethics as published by KASA. And finally, that these comments be entered into the record of this meeting as stated under Policy 01.421. Thank you.
All right, the next person that would like to address the board is Kay Anderson.
I won't need 3 minutes. I just have something very quick and short to say, which is unusual for me. I think it's important that we focus on the principal selection process and not be distracted by any negativity or other frustrating or, upsetting mantra. As I think it's important too that we unite as a group and move forward for the success of the district. To borrow a phrase from Steve Meadows, hashtag be Danville. Thanks.
The last person is Rhonda Harmon.
I signed up, but not sure if I was going to speak or not. I'm Rhonda Harmon. I was here last month. I hate talking in front of people. I have a son that graduated from Danville, already graduated from college, and a daughter that's in a sophomore. And the main thing I wanted to say was, just as someone who works with education too, I've been doing this in education for 30 years, is that I try to not say anything about this, but it's in the paper so much, and it's always one-sided. So the people who want to criticize the decision are the ones who are speaking all the time, and it just makes me want to talk about the other side. And I'll give you one big example. When the educators feel like they can speak that way about board members, about other teachers who haven't supported their same agenda, about parents who haven't supported the same ideas, it makes it open to the idea that that's the way you should respond to things that happen that you don't like. But I don't think you all want parents to do that. I mean, I know that I had a situation that I was speaking up for a lot of other kids. It wasn't my child, it wasn't even her grade, where they were taking 2 years of Algebra 1 at Bate, and then because of a math test, it makes me nervous to talk, because of a math test, they took Algebra 1 again at the high school. And I talked to all the appropriate people about that, and it still happened the next year. And then somebody said it wasn't going to happen, and it didn't happen a couple more years, but then it happened again. But I didn't write a letter to the newspaper saying, you know, these people, pointing out those people who let that happen. A kid take Algebra 1, middle school, get A's and B's, but then go to the high school and have to take Algebra 1 again. But the way to fix that is to be a part of fixing it, not to start throwing rocks at the educators. But I know lots of times what educators will say is, but you don't know as much as I know. In that situation, that might be true. But that's what board members can say too. The two things that have really bothered me is one where they said board members don't have any accountability. It's not true. They are accountable by voting. They can be voted out or not run. The same for teachers. In some ways, there's not accountability. We have to all be working on wanting the right thing, not just be out there to criticize. And then the other thing is someone saying that they haven't told anybody about what's wrong or what happened. All the evaluation summaries are public knowledge. All the test scores are public knowledge. They're all out there, open records. Anybody could ask for them. It's not like the evaluations were great and then the contract wasn't renewed. That's not true at all. So to try to push the board and other people, because all this talk on Facebook, which I don't get involved in, to push people to say bad things about the outgoing superintendent, why would we want to do that? What would that benefit Danville?
Yeah, 3 minutes, yes.
Sorry.
Thank you. All right, that is it for our public comment section this evening.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
All right, all those in favor? Motion adjourned.